Okay, guys, we're live. As promised, I'm going to have a look at Jo Swinson's chart. She's newly elected leader of the Liberal Democrats. I did have a look at Marjorie Orr's site, and Marjorie didn't have such an optimistic prediction for Jo, but she's had a flying start. She's got a defection from Sarah Wollaston. They won the by-election in Brecon. So I had another look at her chart, and I've sort of worked out what I think her ascendant and birth time is. And from my point of view, things are looking really good for Jo. Now, sometimes I've had one or two, not many, it has to be said, comments that say that I only gave Boris a good prediction and a good analysis because I like Boris and I am some raving diehard Tory. Now, this isn't correct. I give predictions on the basis of astrology, and therefore I'm no big Liberal Democrat, but this is a fairly positive reading for Jo. But on the other hand, I'm not here to pull the wool over your eyes and pretend that I'm impartial, because as you guys who watch me know, I have a variety of views and I will always tell you what my own views are. So I'm not trying to be like one of these journalists who pretend they're impartial, but meanwhile they're all activists and Romaniacs. So here you get it straight from me. There's predictions and then there's my commentary, which of course does include some of my opinions because, hey, I'm just one of those nail it to the mast type of people. So Jo's an Aquarian. She's born February the 5th, 1980. Now, I think her birth time is 5:31 a.m. Why I got this is I've looked at key events in her life and I found that every time Pluto's activated, there's something really positive and strong that happens in terms of her career. For example, the first time Pluto was activated, she had a go at becoming an MP and she went against John Prescott in Hull. I think she was only about 21 years old at that stage, so she really is a kind of early bloomer. And she made him drop 6 points. I mean, she didn't actually win the seat, but she really gave it a good go. Next time she ran, she did win her seat. And I mean, she's gone from strength to strength ever since. And her chart looks really strong for January, when, as you know, I think the next general election is going to be. So that's her chart there, just to give you a rough idea. She's got Neptune rising in Sagittarius. She's got a whole stack of planets in the 8th house, which a lot of politicians have, fairly interesting. Got Pluto in the 9th, which I'm going to be talking about. And yes, and there we go, Sun, Mercury, and Venus, all in the 2nd house, 2 of those in Aquarius. So quite a prominent 2nd house for money. I don't actually know, but it seems to me like she's either born into money or very well connected. So Jo, this Neptune rising in Sagittarius, thought we'd have a little look at this. It's very humanistic, this, but it also shows a fanatical adherence to impractical ideals. She's heavily idealistic, and sometimes I think that can almost cloud her vision. Definitely an optimistic person, very interested in long-range goals. So she really does see a long-range picture, which is, you look, if you're going to be a part of the Liberal Democrats, you have to kind of look long-term, because the short-term, they're kind of still a small party. Very ambitious, openly friendly. However, she can get stuck on a mental turntable where she only kind of understands what's in her own frame of reference. She can't really widen out from that. Her power, however, is in her ability to influence people, right? And that is why she went into PR. After she'd studied with the London School of Economics, which she did after school, she didn't go onto an economic or a political route. She went straight into PR, which she's very, very, very good at. She's quite a good subtle manipulator. And she definitely likes to make others subscribe to her ways of thinking, or a way of thinking that suits her. So she's subtly very, very persuasive as well. She's an inspiring person, always appears to have all the answers, but things aren't really thought through because she has this great idealism, but she can easily, miss things because she's just seeing an idealized picture. There's not a lot of practicality in this chart. She's also very impressionable, and I think can often be easily kind of led down the garden path. There are many peculiar karmic relationships that she will be involved in her life, but she can be quite magnetic and hypnotic. She has a massive ability to influence people. However, she can also be very strongly influenced herself. What I thought is, I saw this comment on Brexit, and it said that Remainers are some of the most ideologically short-sighted people out there, because most Remainers are very altruistic, idealistic people. They are very libertarian, and yet they subscribe to this institution, the EU, which is becoming increasingly dogmatic, authoritarian, and dictatorial, and they just can't see it. And I think Jo's kind of one of those people, because I think intrinsically the EU is actually against everything she stands for, which is evident in her chart. I'd say she is quite an authentic kind of Lib Demish person from her chart, because she does have, good values and good ideals, and I don't think they're compatible with the EU. Reminds me of the analogy of the bridge over the River Kwai, where the guy was building the bridge. He was so devoted to that goal, and only when he finished building it did he have a light bulb moment and realized, oh my God, what have I done? Where he blew it up. I don't think, maybe Joe realizes, but I'm going to look at her voting record, because it does cast a light on things that are going on as well. So, second house, Sun in Aquarius, definitely making money via politics, parliament, and via social change, because Aquarius, the ruler of her Sun, is in the 11th house of parliament and society. Very much a progressive mindset, right? Okay, she's got Mars, her conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, is a ruling planet, because her ruler is Sagittarius rising. Mars conjunct Jupiter. That's why she's extremely competitive person. Apparently, she also runs marathons. So this does show a sporting person, definitely interested in competition, interested in physical fitness for sure, and also a fast starter, which is why at 21, she's already going to be an MP, right? Because she's one of these people who really get off the starting blocks early in life and is an early achiever. I think she was the youngest ever MP, and now she's kind of the youngest leader of the Lib Dems. So yeah, wherever she goes, she's always the youngest, which is totally in keeping with Mars conjunct Jupiter with Sagittarius ruling. She's got high energy, enthusiastic, good marketer, competitive, can be very zealous in pursuit of what she sees as right or as good for others. There's kind of a good Samaritan complex. And I don't think she sort of steps back, but she thinks she knows what's right and pushes for it. A bit of a nanny state mentality. Definitely not a person who takes no for an answer, right? And she always thinks she can achieve anything, which it's a powerful aspect to have to your personality if you think that, because you'll tend to go far. As I say, a fast starter. But as we know, I mentioned being a zealot, and she is kind of an EU zealot or a Romaniac. With her Mars in the 8th house, extremely determined, very persistent, but there's a lot going on in secret, probably especially to do with money raising. Again, this very strong 8th house says to me that there are powerful movers and shakers, which have probably shaped her ideas and shaped her career. If she was going for an MP at 21, you've got to have connections to do that. Connections in politics, a lot of money, people to put up the money for your deposit and whatnot. So it says to me, with all this power in both the 2nd house and the 8th house, there's a lot of money circulating around her. Also, a lot of really influential people circulating around her, steering her, guiding her. There's power behind her, and I think she's going to go quite far because of that. She has some powerful benefactors. Moon in Libra, very mature for her age. Moon in Librans are generally old souls. They come into life and they're ready to take it on head on. Very mature for their age. Also, though, a little bit of a people pleaser and likes to be popular, and therefore I don't think she's always going to tackle the most difficult issues, but she does enjoy debate. Now, I was having a look to, I think Jo's intentions are pretty good, and I think her general moral outlook and enthusiasm for life and in politics is totally genuine, but I think she has been steered. Now, I realized that some of the time she was an MP, she was in the part of the Lib Dem who were in government with David Cameron, because Cameron didn't win an outright majority. So she must have been subject to the whip. So a lot of this kind of voting she's done might reflect that. But what also reflected to me in general when I looked at her voting record was a lot of much closer values to Tories than, I would say, very, very far really from Labour in Jeremy Corbyn. So looking forward, I don't really see her getting into a coalition with Labour, because from her voting record, her ideals are very separate to theirs. I see it much more likely that she would attract to her Labour Remainers and Tory Remainers who might be more inclined to join the Liberal Democrats because of Jo, because she has got a kind of Tory persuasion, as I'll prove with this. And that could mean that the new Liberal Democrats become the biggest party, not only by winning a lot of seats in the second biggest party, should I say, Tories being the biggest party, Jo being leader of opposition as the Lib Dems. They'll do this not only by winning seats, but also by defections to them, by people who might feel quite at home with a Jo-run Liberal Democrat Party, which could be quite interesting. As you heard me mention in the other blog, Lib Dems 7-1 on to be the opposition in the next government. And obviously, they're going to, push the whole Remain thing. I'll just say, totally consistent with her chart. She's a humanist. She's totally against religious dogma. She believes in science, totally rejects pseudoscience. So I can say with total 100% optimism, she will not be watching my reading or paying any attention to it, because she wouldn't believe in astrology, judging by her humanistic views. They don't believe in science because, of course, like I said, science only follows the facts. It never just follows the funding, which we know it all does. The golden rule of science is those with the gold make the rules. But I think a lot of people who make science their god and their king ignore that particular fact. So, okay, I think that's Jo's chart covered. Apart from me saying that every time Pluto has been triggered, she's had a big kind of a good thing has happened in her career. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction is triggering her Pluto in January. So that's the time I think she's going to have a lot of influence and possibly do very well in a general election. But it's also triggering her chart in 5 years' time. So look out for her in the following general election as well. I think she'll still be leading the Lib Dems, and I think she'll still be doing very well and be a major name in politics. Not possibly as leader of the country or anything, but still, I think we should keep an eye on her name. So, of course, she voted for gay rights, for smoking bans, for allowing marriage, same-sex marriage, all those things. You'd expect that, wouldn't you? She generally voted for the use of UK military forces in combat operations, so like Libya, Syria. Now, that kind of surprises me, because I would have thought Lib Dems are a little bit more reticent about that sort of thing. But she's against Trident. She wants investigations into the Iraq war. Well, basically, who doesn't? Always voting for more EU integration, which of course you'd expect. She voted against a referendum, and she's obviously very keen for that. So so that. By the way, remember when I was saying that when she was 21 years old, she stood against John Prescott? Well, she achieved a 6% swing towards the Lib Dems, even though she didn't win. So you can see the power of her ability to market and whatnot. She knows her business. How does she vote on welfare benefits? Now, this kind of surprises me. She always has voted for reducing housing benefit for social tenants deemed to have excess bedrooms. So that's the whole bedroom tax. So she was for all that, which that also surprised me. She voted against raising welfare benefit in line with prices. She's consistently voted against paying higher benefits over longer periods for those with illness and disability. She's also voted for making local councils responsible for helping those in financial need for their council tax. Well, that kind of you would expect. And she's always voted for a reduction in spending on welfare. So she's into austerity, as you can tell from that, and she's interested in going for the welfare budget in order to make savings. And that kind of surprises me. That's kind of a Tory thing, isn't it? And she's always voted against spending public money to create guaranteed jobs for young people. Always struck me that the Lib Dems were the party for the young, so that doesn't seem consistent with that. How does she vote on tax? She wanted to raise the threshold at which you start paying tax, fair enough. Wants to increase VAT. Okay, I suppose, higher taxes. But why VAT? VAT hits absolutely everyone, regardless of your income level. That's not a tax aimed at the rich, is it? Strange. Wants higher taxes on alcohol, no problem. On plane tickets, yeah, well, that's kind of green, isn't it? And she's kind of mixed when it comes to taxes for fuel and motor vehicles. She has consistently, listen to this one, voted against increasing the tax applied to people with an income over 150,000. Now, I'm kind of on the right, but even I don't think that's a terribly bad idea. You see, again, these Tory inclinations of hers, okay? She voted, however, against a banker's bonus as well. Doesn't want banker's bonuses. Voted for higher taxes on banks themselves. Fair enough. Always voted against a mansion tax. So you can see there, and she's quite keen on voting down any taxes which would target the mega rich. So you wonder, she does get a lot of funding from the mega rich, probably. Has always voted for reducing the rate of corporation tax. So that's also quite a right-wing policy, that reducing corporation tax. You won't find Labour going for that one. She has voted for measures to reduce tax avoidance, and she's also voted for high-speed rail, HS2, another Tory policy. On health, yeah, I don't think you'll worry about that. That wasn't terribly important. Listen to this one. Voted for raising England's undergraduate tuition fee cap to 9,000 per year. Yeah, right. So she's all for these high tuition fees. I think that's a fact. A lot of young people who vote Lib Dems should probably know. I mean, even I think that's kind of ridiculous for every single university, especially the ones that are not very highly rated, to be ripping people off to the tune of 9,000 a year. I mean, Oxford, Cambridge, and Warwick and LSE and the Red Brick universities, fine, but I don't think that represents good value for money if your degree is not going to get you anywhere and if the university isn't particularly well thought of. Okay, she also has consistently voted for ending financial support for some 16 to 19-year-olds in training and further education. Again, this is not voting for things that would benefit the young. And she's always voted for tuition fees in general. Okay, let's have a look. She voted against a more proportional representation for the way MPs are elected, which really surprises me because I thought Lib Dems were for proportional representation. She wants a wholly elected House of Lords rather than abolishing it totally. She voted for fixed-term parliament. I don't think that's much of a problem. She has voted against transferring more laws to the Scottish Parliament or more powers to Scottish Parliament. So in that way, she's also in tune with keeping the UK together rather than more devolvement, which that's kind of surprising. She does want a lower voting age, which I don't know why, because when reading this, I don't know why particularly young people should be voting Lib Dems with Jo at the helm, and she's so keen on, tuition fees and all that. She voted against a stricter asylum system. I suppose that kind of fits in because Lib Dems are kind of soft in those sort of things. Voted against ID cards, yeah, because Lib Dems are quite strong on civil liberty issues. Climate change, she's got a mixed voting record. She's voted for and against measures for climate change. And she's also voted for and against lower taxes for, certain motor vehicles according to fuel consumption and all that. She's always voted for higher taxes on plane tickets. Yeah, I guess that's okay, fairly green. And she's voted against financial incentives for low carbon emission electricity generation methods. So that's, again, a very anti-green message that's going out there. I mean, I don't see what would be the problem. I'd like to see financial incentives for solar panels and things like that. She's not for fracking, fair enough. She is for high-speed rail, right. She's consistently voted against slowing the rise in rail fares. A lot of people would get on their wick that one because rail fares just went up massively last week. And I think there should be some restraint on the consistent increase in rail fares. Unfortunately, Jo is not on board with that one either. Again, she's mixed on motor vehicles, right? She doesn't want greater regulation of gambling. Again, surprises me. I know they're all for civil liberties, but I thought, Lib Dems, a little bit nanny state, might want to kind of protect people against gambling. No. She also voted to cap civil service redundancy payments. So she wants to, again, she's for austerity. She's always voted against Labour's anti-terror laws. She voted for the privatisation of Royal Mail. Again, there you go. See her Tory colours coming through. And she also wanted to restrict the scope of legal aid, right? Again, quite surprising. Yes, right. Okay, that's it. So I think that might be quite enlightening for everyone to hear how Jo has been voting. As I say, her chart says to me she generally has some quite strong opinions and good values. But when I'm looking at her voting record there, I think Jo might be a Tory Remainer in disguise as a Liberal Democrat. So there you go. So we have Ken Clark, who's a Tory. He's really a Bilderberger. I talked, as you know, once before about Claire Fox, who's in the Brexit party. And I said, well, the real Claire Fox stand up because I think she's just a stooge for the pharmaceutical industry. And here we have Jo, who's not quite shaping up to the Lib Dem form that I would have expected. So politicians are not always who you think they are. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, but do watch out for Jo. She's got a very strong, powerful chart. She's got a lot of wonderful qualities that would make her an extremely effective politician. As a Brexiteer, of course, I hope not that effective because I don't want too many strong Remainers out there. But there you go. That's Jo's chart. It's a wrap.